Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Kirkham of in-home tutoring Honolulu.com. And today I want to talk about how to adjust your seat. No, I want to talk about 5 different reasons why you should have tutoring in the summertime for your child. Quite a while back, I wrote an article on that, which I'll be going by a little bit. But if you're already watching this video, then congratulations. You're already considering your child's future and where they were the year before and where you want them to be at the beginning of the year. That's wonderful. That's great. But uh, I want to kind of go over it using the article I wrote. You're welcome, of course, to visit the article. But I start out with something that, and I obviously mean no offense by this, but I've been in homes where the teenager, especially if it's the teenager, is in charge of the home. Okay. You're the parent. Your child doesn't have enough life experience to decide what is best for your child. I have yet to have a child that wants to be tutored in the summertime. They either do it because their parents said, or they do it while they're fighting and kicking and screaming. And the ones that are fighting and kicking and screaming are probably the ones that need me the most. I happen to specialize in students with ADHD because I have ADHD. Uh, last, well, I guess I could say last school year because we've only got about a week left as I record this. Last school year, I was blessed to be able to help so many tutoring students that even with the help of a great teacher that I've been friends with for quite some time, I only had room for 2 more openings. And I really didn't like that. I want to be able to help as many students as I possibly can. But let's go ahead and take a look at the article. And you should be aware that when I go over articles like this, I tend to add my own stuff. You might hear me hum and haw because I'm thinking hum and haw. But anyway, yeah, so we covered the straight talk already. You're the one in charge of your home. You're the one in charge of your child's future because they don't have that experience. Um, Rick, I already know my kid will keep bugging me and say he or she doesn't want tutoring. Yeah, I understand. I'm a parent myself, and it's no one ever said parenting was a easy job. And I'll give you an example. I told my son that it's my job to make you the best person you can be. And if you end up hating me for that, too bad. I probably going to tick off a lot of parents right now when I say this, but I think you're making a mistake if you're trying to be friends with your child. To a point, obviously. I mean, you want your child to be able to come up to you and ask advice and things like that. But if you're going along with what your child wants just to get your child to like you, that's not parenting. Uh, if you just left the video because of what I just said, I'm sorry that happened, but I believe that. Okay, let's get into number 5 here. Tutoring over the summer. Why not just wait till next year? That's because of the building block effect, folks. Especially, I get a lot of calls about math and English, and those are the two subjects definitely that have a building block effect. They assume that you know what you were supposed to have learned last year. So if you think you're going to, if you're a parent and you think, oh, thank goodness that's over, even though my son got D's and F's, I'm sure he'll do better next year. I hate to say, but it's probably not going to happen, especially if it's math and English. We need to get caught up. I even have parents that want me to get ahead of their child for their child because they know that their child struggled last year and now they want their child to have an easier time this year. But yeah, it's not going to happen. We got the building block effect, and the chances are your child is going to be even more lost next year than your child was lost this year. I'm sorry to give you that kind of news, but that's probably the case. Okay, let's look at number 4, getting more behind. I just kind of covered that. We got the building block effect. Your child's going to get even more behind. Part of my job as a tutor is to help my student with study habits, especially if they have ADHD or dyslexia, where they might learn differently. They do learn differently. We learn differently. But it doesn't mean we're dumb. It doesn't mean we're stupid. It doesn't mean we're not normal. But it does mean we learn differently. And for the most part, I know that my students with ADHD, and no bragging intended, but myself, tend to be highly intelligent people. And I think our enhanced ability to see patterns has a lot to do with that, by the way. But anyway, I could go on about that forever and explain the advantages, the actual advantages of ADHD and the advantages of dyslexia. But let's talk about why your child should have tutoring in the summer instead. Getting ahead of a tough subject. Okay, your child is getting ready to take math or science or some kind of history next year, and you know your child has trouble with that. Now's the time to get ahead. And that way, when the first test comes up and your child won't be struggling and staying up all night studying for that test the night before, your child will be caught up and will probably do very well on the test. I never do guarantees, by the way. If you if you run across someone who guarantees anything, especially tutoring when it comes to children, run away. Just run. All right, let's uh, keeping the learning mindset, especially if your child didn't do well in school, uh, maybe didn't do their homework, didn't study well, especially then, it really need to try to maintain and even improve their study mindset. This might even be able to be done with once a week. Now, I normally start out by seeing people at least 3 times a week so I can get them caught up and get them into a study mindset. But we also do what we can, especially financially, of course. But keeping that learning mindset uh, after being off school for that long, I think is very important. Getting ahead in general. Uh, Once again, if you're especially if your child's not didn't do well at the end of the year, we need to help them get ahead. If you know they're going to have trouble in a certain area, we can do something about that in the summertime. And that was the number one. But yeah, the sad part is that the parents that really need to have their child tutored, especially in the summertime, will never call a tutor. Fortunately, I'm seeing more and more parents call and inquire about tutoring, hiring me and my teacher friend as a tutor. But you know, I wasn't planning on doing this, but just a little bit of advice. It doesn't matter the consequences. It doesn't matter if you take away the cell phone or if you take away the gaming device or anything like that. It doesn't, I know you're trying. You're trying to help your child with the tools that you know, with the ability that you have, and that's good. That means you're a concerned parent. But if they don't have the study tools, if they don't have the confidence, which is another thing that I try to instill in my students. And I just got a call yesterday that was a very nice compliment. Father called me from 2 years ago, and his child was getting behind again. He has ADHD. And he said he remembered how well my student progressed, how well his child progressed while I was tutoring him. And, you know, that's great. And I'm telling you this too, the fact that they didn't call me for 2 years after that is also a nice compliment, because I'm in, I'm instilling self-confidence. I'm teaching study habits. My standard joke is I'm the only tutor on Oahu that wants to get fired. That's because I want my student to be self-sustaining. I've seen so many tutoring students who are hired by tutors who just give answers and things like that. And the kid is doing great in the beginning because the tutor is not teaching the student how to find their own answers. They're just giving the answers. Oh no, it's this answer here. Let's move on. No, come on. And then, so now the parent thinks, okay, we don't need the tutoring student anymore. My kid's getting good grades. And now the grades start dropping again because there's no one there to give the student answers, and the student never developed any study habits. Okay, that's not the way I do things, but I've seen it done that way. Anyway, that's it. If you want to read the article, you're welcome to, but I'm going to tell you the main thing I want is for you to call me if you're here on Oahu. And yes, I can help people remotely if you're on the mainland, or as long as you speak English. I don't speak any other language. My wife is Filipina, from the Philippines. Her family speaks Ilocano. I tried to learn that language. I couldn't do it. So uh, even if you're on the mainland and if you speak English, I can help you. But mostly I want the Oahu parents to contact me so that I can help your child. And I look forward to your call. God bless you, and aloha.